Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Caves of Qud. Caves of Qud is a very special game to me. It is something I've been playing in my own time for quite a while, and it is in early access currently. It is a traditional roguelike, meaning it takes on that kind of text-based quality that traditional roguelikes usually take on. It's a top-down dungeon crawler with an open world and randomly generated worlds and history and quests, just like something like Dwarf Fortress Adventure Mode. It is a brilliant game, and it is a game I feel is severely underrated. Even though it is a popular roguelike, I feel like the genre as a whole is still extremely niche and doesn't get the attention it deserves. This game is immaculately crafted, and I feel like it is just a delightful experience to explore such an interesting and diverse game world that is all randomly generated. Like, all of the history that you encounter in this game feels organic. It feels like something that would happen in the game's world. It's really interesting, and the post-apocalyptic scene that they paint here is just unlike anything else I've ever seen. In Caves of Qud, all of the world's water, or most of the world's water, has been turned salty or turned to salt water. All that remains is salt and dust and mutant remnants of a world long past, old technology that is yet to be rediscovered, and a constant conflict between the mutated humans and the true kin, the real humans. It is a wildly interesting game world, and getting to see how the world maintains stuck together despite such a harrowing, apocalyptic event is fascinating. So we're going to jump into this today and play some Caves of Qud. I do have a character, Yad, which I've been playing for quite a while. He is a gunslinging porcupine bird, but we are going to go in for a new game here. We're going to build a new character. You get a few game modes when you create a character. You get Classic, which is your normal roguelike permadeath mode. If you die, your character is deleted. You need to start a fresh game. This may seem strict to people who haven't played roguelikes, but trust me, this is part of the course. It's part of the experience. I highly recommend jumping into Classic mode. If you want to learn how to play the game, I'd probably recommend roleplay. So this works more like your traditional RPGs, where you checkpoint at settlements, and then if you die, you can reload at your last checkpoint. It's quite good for learning the game mechanics. Not something I would play on, a repeat occasion. I'd probably just stick to Classic mode myself. And then you have Wonder mode, which is kind of just like a creative kind of mode, where most things are neutral to you, and if you just want to explore the world, read the lore, and not do very much combat, this is a great option for you. I've never played this mode, but it's something that I'd probably jump into later once I've experienced a lot of the game's combat. Then you've got your daily run, which I think is just, you get a fixed amount of turns to get as many points as you can with a certain character and build that's randomly chosen for you. It's very fun. I've not played much of it, but it is a good time. So we're going to jump into Classic mode here. And I was going to pull a character build from my own library, but I think I'm just going to build a preset today just to speed things along. There's a ton of character customization in this game. There's just a ton of different builds you can make, a ton of different things you can do. And there's two different genotypes. You have your mutated humans, which are like, the mutants of this world, obviously. They are mutated monstrosities. They have multiple limbs, they have wings, they have beaks, they have all sorts of different abilities, and a lot of them have psychic abilities as well. So it's a very interesting, diverse playstyle if you want to go with a mutated human, and I do believe it's the intended way to play the game. But there is also the Truekin. The Truekin hate mutated humans. As you can see here, mutated humans get the minus 600 reputation to the Putus Templar, which are mostly Truekin. They have higher starting attributes, and they don't get to mutate, but they do get access to cybernetic implants, which are kind of like their kinds of mutation. They are sometimes, most of the time, less wacky, but they are more technologically focused, so you can have armor plating, you can have night vision implants, you can have laser vision or missile arrays on your shoulders, or you could have a saw instead of an arm. It's very interesting stuff. I'm not sure what Buke robots means. I think that they have specific technological abilities. So the world in this game is kind of split between the mutated organic masses and the robotic sort of untouched masses. So it's very interesting. They do get extra skill points too. But today I want to jump in with a mutated human, as it is my preferred way to play the game. And I've had to think about it. Gunwing is definitely my favourite preset build. I love that they get the ability to fly, which is incredibly, incredibly strong in this game. When you're flying, things on the ground can't touch you, which eliminates like 80% of the game's threats. And ranged weapons are just very good. But I think we're going to jump in with the Marsh Tor today. This is probably the one most people are familiar with. He's a charge-based melee fighter. He has the ability to freeze enemies with like his icy, vaporous hand. He has 4 legs, so he's very quick, and he's very survivable. I think he has, like, the ability to... I think... Oh, what's the word here? He doesn't... Yeah, he's amphibious, so he doesn't drink water through his mouth. He absorbs water through his skin. This does mean that he drinks more water than a normal person, and we'll get into that in a bit. But I think it comes with its own benefits. I think it gives you a dodge value increase or something. So you see, starts with pretty high strength. 18 in agility and toughness. Low intelligence, he's not very smart. He's not going to be able to identify things too easily. Willpower and ego are at 16. You'd really like these to be at 18 or above, but we'll get into that later. Let's just go here. We need to name our character. So we can choose a random name, and you get some really interesting ones like Mahushik and Famamut and Sirashwak Uramut. But I think Croc. There we go. I think we'll go with something simple like Croc. Just for the sake of commentary, it makes it a lot easier. And we get to pick our starting location. So Jopa is your normal starting location. It comes with preset quests, preset NPCs. It's a highly recommended start because you don't get a lot of the random elements that you get in randomized villages that you would get if you went for something like these. You get different advantages at starting in these villages. And they do end up in slightly different locations, but you most of the time start in the lower left corner of the map. I would recommend going for Jopa, and Jopa's what I'm going to go for this time, just because you can never really know what you're going to get when you go for one of these randomly generated villages. Let's go for Jopa. It's going to generate a whole world, and it's not just going to generate a world, it's going to generate every tile in that world. It's going to generate the whole world's history. It's going to generate all of the non-main characters, all of the non-main locations. So this game has randomly generated aspects, but it also has, like, fixed aspects. So there is a story to this game, but it is kind of a suggestion. You do not have to go and do the story in this game. It is a very open-ended experience. You can go and do the main story if you want, or you can go and explore the 90% of the game, which is the rest of the game. And that's kind of what I love about Caves of Cud here. We're just going to have an explore today. We're not going to stick to any main goals, but I do want to try and get the main starting questline done in this video, because I think that gives you the best portrayal of what this game has to offer. Let's read the introduction text here. On the 30th of Tishu Iux, you arrive at the oasis hamlet of Yopa, along the far rim of the Mograi Great Salt Desert. All around you, moisture farmers tend to groves of viridian water vine. There are huts wrought from rock salt and brine stalk. On the horizon, Cud's junkles strangle chrome steeples and rusted archways to the earth. Further and beyond, the fabled spindle rises above the fray and pierces the cloud-ribboned sky. One thing you'll notice is that this game has a fantastic sense of writing and description, and the way the NPCs talk is absolutely incredible. Okay, we have a couple things we need to notice. So the UI, it's a lot to take in, but it's a lot simpler than you may think. This section in the middle here represents the game world. This here is me. This is my character, Croc. And all around me is what my character sees. What he has seen is in grey. But I can only see in his line of sight. You'll see as the walls cut here, I won't be able to see past this point. So I can only see what my character sees. On the right here is the message log. So whenever something happens in the game world, whenever you interact with something, walk over something, see something, or an enemy attacks, or an enemy talks, or something happens, you'll see it here in the message log. This gets very cramped and very filled up, but a lot of the time it kind of doesn't matter. You kind of want to look here for specifics, so if something happens and you're not sure what, have a read of the message log and it probably tells you what is up. This is the minimap. This just shows you a grid-based representation of what you're seeing. Up here is all of your character's stats. You have your icon and name. You got the temperature. This matters sometimes, not all of the time. Sated means I have eaten, I am not hungry. Wet, because I am amphibious, this would usually say quenched. So because I'm amphibious, I don't care about drinking. I do care about how wet my skin is though. So I need to, in this game, stay fed, which is really easy. You don't have to worry too much about food in this game, but there is a cooking system which I'll get into. Wet is very important. So in this game, there is almost no fresh water. You have to really scrape for something to drink in this game. So here you could see my currency, $32, but this is actually how much fresh water I have. If I press I here, you'll get to see my inventory, and you'll see that my money is actually fresh water. So I store that in my water skin, and each water skin can hold 64 grams of any liquid. Usually you want this to be fresh water, because in this world, money is water. Everybody wants something to drink. It's all of the water, or most of the water, is tainted. So people use water as the currency, because it's like one of the only things people need to survive in this world. But funnily enough, in this game world, you have to drink your money to survive. So that's something that was going to be slowly ticking down as time progresses, and we need to top this up by trading with people, finding it out in the environment, just anything in order to survive. Here, this number is 42 out of 349 star. This is your carry weight, and this is how much you can carry in pounds, which you can see next to things in your inventory. So if you exceed this number, you won't be able to move, so you want to try and keep this under this. You can affect this by certain things like increasing your strength stat, having a backpack on, etc. And here you've got some stats. These are pretty important when in combat or exploring the game's world. And they're quite complicated to explain, but I'll try my best. Quickness is how fast your character moves. I'm pretty sure that... Let me have a look here. If we go to action costs, it's all the way at the bottom here. In fact, no, is it up here? Give me a moment here. Quickness. So it measures how quickly you perform each and every action. Quickness score is a base of 100. Note that there are very few ways to augment the score. So I'm not sure if a game turn happens at 100 quickness, but you can think of this like your speed in other roguelikes. You know, it affects how quickly you act. And then movement speed is how quickly you actually walk, I believe. Let me double check I'm getting that right as well. Because sometimes even I forget what these stats do, and that is completely normal. There is a lot... Yeah, movement speed. Your movement speed is a measurement of how quickly you walk. Fly-based movement speed is 100. And because we got those extra legs, we get that 20 bonus. These are armor value, dodge value, and mental armor. So armor value is how likely you are to shrug off your enemy's attacks, how likely they are to pierce through your armor. Usually higher values are better, obviously. Dodge value is how likely you are to dodge the attack. This checks against the enemy's accuracy rating, which I think is private information. And your mental armor is how likely you are to resist mental attacks, because there are scions in this game. There are psionic threats that will try and mentally destroy you, so this will affect that. Right now, this doesn't matter too much, but as the game progresses, you want to keep an eye on these numbers. You get to see the date. This is Harvest Dawn, 30th of Tishru Eux. There is a fictional calendar system in this game. I haven't fully familiarised myself with it, but it is something to keep in mind. And you get to see the time of day here. You'll see the moon. We are coming up to sunrise. The sun is just coming up in the corner of the spindle here. It goes around in a clockwise fashion, and as you take game turns, the day and night cycle will progress. And this does actually affect how much you can see. We can only see very well because there's torches dotted around, but if we were out in the wilderness and it was nighttime, we wouldn't be able to see anything. So just something to note. Down here, our abilities is everything we're able to do. You've got some things on your hotbar, like we've got the ability to sprint, which is a temporary speed boost. We can make a camp to cook food, dismember enemies with our axe, charge at them to stun them. Butcher corpses is an automatic skill which allows me to get meat from the enemies I've slain. Freezing Ray is the ability on my hands. I'll just read this out to you. It's a physical mutation, so essentially I can shoot crossed rays out of my hands. And I also have the ability to teleport with an uncertainty radius. And whenever you use an ability, you get to see where it sort of targets. And here you can see that teleport has a massive radius of where it could land me. So just something to keep in mind. We're going to walk around here, we're going to explore. So if you press 0 on the number pad, it will automatically go around exploring everything. Most things in Jopa stay where they are, so you don't have to worry about really being quick with exploring. And here we've come across something that is painted. So this is the game's history system. Different items can be engraved or painted, and it looks like this one's actually engraved and painted, so we get two different pieces of history. And here we get characters which are sometimes fixed, sometimes randomly generated. I think Rashef and Jared are preset characters in the game's world, but their history is randomly generated. So let's have a read of the engraving here. This item is engraved with a scene from the life of the ancient Sultan Rashef. While travelling near Bethesda Suda, Rashef lost control of his chariot and drove it off a cliff. Luckily, a local physician named Rebecca came to his rescue. Moved by her kindness, Reshef enrolled at a nearby hospice as her apprentice. Now that's really wholesome, isn't it? And that's probably a randomly generated piece of history. Sometimes they don't make sense, but sometimes you can get some really, like, heartwarming or harrowing tales of history. It's also got a painting from the life of Jared I. Waist deep in a lake of time itself, Jared cemented her friendship with grazing hedonists by marrying F1 error missing hex value 4A1B. So it looks like Jared here married a robot, which is very cute. So every time we find a piece of history we've not seen before, we'll note it in our journal. And we actually sometimes use our journal's information to barter with people. Sometimes people want to know the secrets of the world. Some people are interested in the world's history, and we can use that to get along with them. So we're just going to keep exploring. We found a shrine to Reshef, the last sultan. In 3AR, Reshef cleansed the marshlands of the plagues of the Gaia and taught Abram to sow watervine along its fertile tracks. So this is one of the pieces of history that always remains the same. Here in Joppa, all of the farmers, and most of the farmers in Kud, farm a crop called watervine. Because there is no fresh water, one of the only ways people can make fresh water is through this plant called watervine. I'm pretty sure that what it does is it takes the salt water and it takes it up through its roots and it removes the salt, turning it into fresh water. So I think that the people here harvest the watervine, use the fibre of the plant for food, and they squish out the water and drink it as fresh water, which is really cool. It's a nice way of explaining how people can continue to survive in this world. And I don't know if that's where all of the fresh water in this world comes from. I think there are some natural sources of fresh water, but they are very few and far between. And we're going to note this history in our journal and continue exploring. Our character will continue exploring until there is nothing left to explore, or until he runs into something dangerous. If he runs into something dangerous, we'll see a little red flash. It looks like we're looting things. If we're automatically picking up loot, that means that it's not owned by anybody. So I can take this vine wafer from this chest and have no detriments. Usually, if you take things from people's chests, though, they will not be very happy about it. But if the game automatically makes you pick it up, it means that nobody cares, basically. And we've finished exploring, so we've explored all of Joppa. You can see that there's a few houses dotted around. And one thing you can do if you're mean and awful is you can go into these houses when nobody's in them, close the door behind you and actually start stealing their stuff. Now, I have done this many times without fail, but the other day I did try doing it and somebody saw me and I immediately died. So usually people in villages are very strong and you're not able to fight them. Let's take inventory of what we started with here. We start with some food. We have some bear jerky and some vine wafer. Vine wafer is an unprocessed food. We can actually preserve this at a campfire. So let me show you. If we make a camp here, I'll show you the game's cooking system. We'll interact with the fire, and what we can do is we can either whip up a meal, which is like it scrounges around you for food that you can make, and it just automatically cooks. It doesn't take anything from your inventory, but it does make you eat and it feeds you. So food is never a problem in this game. What is a problem is actually cooking yourself, because this actually gives you buffs. I feel like we can't do any of this because we don't have the cooking skill unlocked. So I can show you if we go to our skills section by pressing K. This shows us everything our character knows how to do, and we unlock these through skill points and through attributes. So our attributes are over here. These are what we chose at character creation, but we can also increase these by leveling up or through other means in the game. We can eat certain foods that will increase these. And these attributes impact not only roles to things we do, but also what skills we can learn. So here we have axe proficiency. We have entered the axe tree, we are skilled with axes, and we are proficient with axes, so that means we get +2 to hit. We also have the ability to dismember people. It has a cooldown of 30. If we hit and penetrate, we dismember one of their limbs. This is very, very strong. Dismembering limbs is one of the strongest things in the game. So we do know how to cook and gather, but we don't know how to prepare meals. So this is why we can't preserve or make food. We're not smart enough to cook. So once we get a point of intelligence, we'll be able to cook. And I think that's going to be our main priority, because cooking in this game is pretty important. We do know how to butcher animals, so it's very strange that our character knows how to butcher but doesn't know how to cook. I think that's quite funny. We are interested in tactics. We have the ability to charge here. So we charge forward and get a melee attack with +1 to a penetration roll, which is good. But we don't actually know tactics as a whole. We know how to do the charge, but we're not very versed in tactics, which means we don't get the ability to hurdle. So once we enter this skill tree with 50 skill points, we'll just automatically unlock the ability to hurdle, which is like a no penalty dodge value while sprinting and jumping. We know how to make camp, but we're not very good at exploring, and this is all of the rest of the skills in the game. Most of the time we're not going to worry about these, but we may want to spec into some of these as time goes on. Let's leave this menu. One thing I always like to do when I first get to Jopa is go and talk to Tam over here. I think his name's Tam. Yeah, Tam, the dromad merchant. So this guy's a dromad, and I could explain to you what a dromad is, but we can also let him explain what a dromad is. Human, we are greeted. What do you desire? I am Croc. Who are you? It's a pleasure to know this, human friend Croc. I am Tam. What kind of creature are you? I am a dromad, human friend. Some say salt strider. How do you know this? Oh, do you know this? I do not. 1 second. So I don't know what a dromad is. My people have walked the salt for thousands of years, meeting every creature that lives and thinks, from Pale Sea to the marsh of Jopa. And under the hanging hills, our chests are drawn. So the dromad are a merchant race. They wander the salt deserts and the worlds of Khud, trading with humans and mutants alike. They are usually flush with water, flush with goods. And they are loved by most of everybody. They are kind of like a camel race. They are kind of like anthropomorphic camels, from what I believe. We'll ask him if he lives here. Jopa is my home, yes. I walked Mogri in the caravans of my brethren and the Saltback, but upon meeting Elder Iridad, knew at once to settle down here. You will understand, human friend, if you wish to speak with him. So Iridad is the mayor of this place. If we trade with him, we can ask to trade by pressing tab, and we get to see everything he's got. So, a couple of things I like to try and get early. I do like having a weapon, like a ranged weapon, but I don't have very much money, and I don't have very much things to trade, so I think that this is going to wait. This is engraved, though, so what I can do is, without even buying it, I can pick this up and have a look at it. So if I press L, I can have a look. A smoothbore barrel of found steel is blackened by pocks of gunpowder mess. It is engraved with the life of the ancient sultan Atraxatafa, so I think that's a randomly generated one. Early in 2552 BR, after several tumultuous years, the Sultan of Khud was assassinated. Because of Artaxertafa's reputation for wiring scrolls to glass, she was chosen as the successor. Wow, so this person is the successor of the Sultan of Khud, so quite an important figure here. And she has her own cult, so if we equip this gun, because people see it's engraved with the life of Artaxertafa, if we see somebody from her cult, we actually are a little more friendly with them. So we can't get that right now. What are we actually, like, holding? So we have a copper axe. We have an icy vapor on our hands. Can I look at it? I can't look at it. That's fine. Can I? No. So we have a copper axe. We have a reed of copper axe. It has 5 to penetration, which is what that little arrow means. So we penetrate through 5 of an enemy's armor. And then if we penetrate the armor, we deal 1d2 of damage. And that also depends on our excess strength as well. So if we have more strength, we'll deal more damage. We're wearing some furs, which give us 2 armor, but minus dodge value. So the little diamond is armor value, and the little circle is dodge value. And we are holding a burning torch, which is why we can see so well in the dark here. One thing we can do early as well is if we go to the purple cat, which is walking around, his name is Stesiphus. Here he is. Hello, Stesiphus. So if we go to Stesiphus, we can pet him. He's a friendly cat. He likes being pet. Most cats in Khud do not like being pet, so just bear that in mind. You pet Stesiphus. Stesiphus meows. You start to glow. So Stesiphus is a glow cat, which means that they can transfer their phosphoric powers to us. They have made us phosphorescent, which means we now glow in the dark. Which is very interesting. It's about time we actually go and do some exploring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to Elder Iridad. Because, in fact, no. Is it this guy? I think this guy gives you the first quest in the game. So this is Mehmet. This is one of the water vine farmers here. A water hand. Aye. Live and drink, traveller. I'm just going to take a sip of my coffee because this game has a lot of talking to do. And I love it. It's a lot, you know. I am called Croc. Mehmet, the tongue says. Live and drink, Croc. So you can tell, like, people in this world have very interesting speech patterns. It's kind of like they've lived in a different culture for a long, long time, and their speech has kind of devolved into very strange ways of forming grammar and sentences, which is very interesting. Can you tell me more about your village, Jopa? Water vine farm in the lap of the marsh. You've sucked the moisture out of vine wafer, yeah? We tend to plant here. Wind off the great desert cools. Great wind. No, sorry. Hold on. Wind off the great desert cools a touch and gives up moisture, just enough. A tongue can taste 100 kinds of wind, you know. Anyway, that's where my wandering mind goes. More's about Jopa, I say, speak to our elder friend Irudad up northwise the path. Yeah, people speak in very weird ways here. If we talk to him, we could ask him for work. I am in search of work. I have it then. Something's eating our water vine. Round beetle moon. So when nighttime comes, something comes and eats the water vine. Huron says he saw a creature, spider-like, slinking in the brine. But no cave spider would dare get so near to the warden's stomps. I tasted a bit of the red fleck in the pool, shale, like we find at the soil from Red Rock. Hike there, will you, to Red Rock, just about 2 parasangs north of Jopa. Kill the vermin and bring one's corpse back, for seeing what it is. Elder will take care and pay you afterwards. I will do as you ask. So we need to go to Red Rock and see what's eating the water vine and hopefully slay it so it does no longer do it. Let's go and talk to Elder Irudad. He is the mayor of this village. He can tell us a little bit more. Friend. Elder Irudad smiles. Live and drink. Come in. Come sit neath the cool shade. Cross a pillow there, and welcome to Jopa. You may drink of our fresh water, too, and quench your thirst. So he's a very friendly guy, is Mr. Elder Irudad. Always very welcoming to visitors. What is this place, Jopa? This? The Oasis Hamlet? Neath the shelf of the world, a million breaths of salt, the wind heaves over the great salt desert Mograyi, and to the east, the rotting jungles of Kud. Here, in the crack between the two, water vine can grow, and we grow it. Friend. So this is one of the few places in the game's world where water vine grows, so they're doing pretty good for themselves. Can you tell me about Kud? So Kud is the world we inhabit. This is everything that we see. There. Land slopes up and is toothed in chrome steeples. Ageless things. So we know of one chrome steeple, which is called the Spindle. Loaming over the old earth tunnels, pillowed in rotting jungles and fungus groves, and broken against the mounts of the north they are, in the shadow of the Spindle. There are people, friends, communities, and friends to no one too. History is thick as the high salt sun, friend, and where the past is ground up like gnat's meal, a mix of life sets in. So, it's just so beautiful, oh my god. Adventurous ones set off their own splinter of artifact to both fates, life and death. Do you sell wares here? Here, speak to my daughter through the east door for herbs. Sitting Tam in the southeast has all manner of trinket against his chests of drawers. I'm looking for work. Try Argive the Tinker, and then also go speak to Mehmet. So we've already speak to Mehmet. We're going to live and drink this guy. Before we go, we'll go and talk to one last NPC, who is Argive the Tinker. He has another quest for us, so let's go and talk to him. Let's go speak to Argive. Exceeding mass thresholds. Perhaps a ganglonic teleprojector fitted with suppressors. Oh, I didn't notice you there. That's because I was ignoring you. Waste heat from the thermo cask, or centrifugal extraction to the density of the sun slag. Unexpected deviation from the clank constant. Must you bother me? What are you? Some sort of water freak? Fountain-eyed pilgrim? Arconaut? Make yourself useful and fetch me a knick-knack from one of the caves. Then I may reward you. Where can I find a cave? There are caves everywhere, you dolt. Scoop the surface of the marsh, or head east to the rust wells, or wander into the desert for all I care. I will return with your knick-knack. So when he says knick-knack, he means any kind of technology. So we can do that for him. It's just an easy quest to pick up at the start and sets us down the line of late game stuff. So we're going to press the up button here, which is the left arrow key. It is plus and minus on the number pad as well, to go up a level. And this is where we can see the world map. This is Kud. This is your world to explore. Each of these tiles here, if I press the look button, you can see that each tile is a little square. Each of these tiles is a 3x3 set of game world maps like we've just been on. And that each of these tiles, so each of these is it 9x9? No, it's 3x3. Each of these 3x3 squares are randomly generated, full of different ruins, places to explore, shops, caravans, caves, you name it. There's just so much to explore in this world. So I can show you, like, if we travel up one parasang north. A parasang is the big squares. We pour fresh water on ourselves from our water skin, so traveling does take water and it takes food, so that's something you'll need to keep on top of. I'm not going to go to Red Rock straight away. I am going to go down here, and I'm going to try and farm some EXP before I go to Red Rock. So here we are in the salt marsh surface, so this is just in the middle of the map, as you can see, just one parasang up from Jopa. We'll just go back to where we were. And one thing I like to do is I like to try and go fish hunting straight away, because that gives us some early EXP. I like to level up at least once before I go. So fish start off friendly to you most of the time, if we go and have a look at them. Yeah, it's neutral, just a luminescent glowfish. It's quite easy to kill, so if we go up to it, we can hold control to force a melee attack, and we'll go and swing our axe at him. We immediately kill him in one swing and kill the glowfish. Can we butcher his corpse? We cannot butcher his corpse. So now the rest of the fish are going to come up to us angrily, and we're just going to chop them down as they get close to us. And you'll see each time you do get a bit of EXP as well. This shouldn't be too difficult. Alright, not bad, not bad. And as we're exploring these tiles, we can come across ruins, which will also give us EXP. Oh, these guys are friendly to us, so we're just going to chop chop. I do have to be careful, because I might come across a legendary fish person. I've dismembered them. I'm pretty sure that we have just a base chance to dismember as well on hit. I'm going to have to read that, actually. It's not on our axe, is it on our skills? Hold on. I think we have a chance to dismember, right? Yeah. Additionally, your axe attacks that penetrate have a chance to dismember 3% for one-handed axes and 6% for two-handed axes. So we're probably going to want to upgrade to a two-handed axe at some point, but maybe what we'll want to do is dual-wield axes. The problem with dual-wielding is that it does require the dual-wielding skill tree to do well. You can do it without the skill tree, but to get really good at it, we do want to do multi-handed weapon fighting. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm going to expand everything here. And we're just going to continue farming EXP. So we'll try and find a couple more fishes, because I do want to level up, because that will allow us to get us some skills. Okay, there's nothing else here, so I'm going to go north, up towards where Red Rock is. Hold on, I need to walk around this lake, because it's too deep for me to just walk over. Let's go up here. And here we are. So these little purple things are called glow pads. They are tougher than they look. They are basically just lily pads, but they have quite high defense and quite high dodge value. So you'll see if I try and kill one here, they actually do take quite a beating and actually deal a decent amount of damage. So just be careful with glow pads. You'll see I'm actually struggling very much here. I'm going to try and dismember it. I dismembered its roots. That'll hurt. So it's probably just going to bleed out now. But I'm going to charge it. Step back a minute. I'm going to freezing ray. He's still not dead. I am bleeding. To avoid dying, I'm just going to wait a couple turns to see if we stop bleeding. Oh, no, I died because I bled to death. And that is Caves of Cud, everybody. God. Caves of Cud, yeah. It's... It's a funny time. I warned you, man. I warned you about those glow pads. Nobody believed me. I just thought I could do it, you know. I thought you could manage a glow pad, but apparently not. You bled to death because of a soppy, wet glow pad. That is Caves of Cud, everybody. I love this game. I will do another video of this game. I might even start a series of it where I actually will do well and actually get further into the game. I can't believe I died to a glow pad. I hope you all enjoyed. Caves of Cud is a delightful time. Yeah. We'll definitely go further in and actually do some exploring in a future video. Thanks everybody for watching. See you all next time. Bye bye.